Well, hey, and my name is Al Moore. I'm an old boy from Kentucky. My military service started in 1963. I was one of those folks that found a square peg for a square hole, and me and the Army just fit together. I went up and talked to the recruiting sergeant, and he said, well, can you take the tests? And I said, yeah, I'll take the tests. And took the tests, and he said, well, he said, you can go into military intelligence, you can go into cartography, you can go into video interpretation. He said, what would you like to go to? I said, well, I hunt. I love to hunt. Can you put me somewhere where I'm outdoors with a gun? Well, that seemed to tickle him for some reason. I wound up at Fort Jackson, South Carolina, where I did my basic training and my advanced individual infantry training. The Army in its largesse made me an infantryman. I did 7 years as a grunt, 11 Bravo, it was 111 when I went in, light infantry, and then 112 or 11 Charlie is heavy infantry, and then later on got a OOF-40, which is a drill sergeant MOS. But the military was just right for me. It was everything that I was looking for and everything that I needed. They let me go places. First thing they did was send me to Korea. And I enjoyed Korea. It was cold, but it was good soldiering. Got to work with a lot of UN troops. And I'm saying a lot, and I shouldn't be doing that, but did my year over there and had a lot of fun, met an awful lot of nice people, and thought that maybe that was going to be the life for me, so I re-enlisted, took 6 more years right there, and asked that they send me to Germany. Well, Germany really wasn't me. Germany was a whole nother style of soldier and a whole nother kind of soldier. Put me in the 24th Infantry Division, mechanized, a lot of tracks, a lot of mechanical stuff, and I didn't care for that anyway. I was never exposed to it as a young man. So 7 months into that, they had the Gulf of Tonkin incident, and I said, well, I'm trained infantry, and I'm pretty good at my job. Why don't I go to Vietnam? And I volunteered for Vietnam. And of course, they didn't deny me. The Army being what it was good to our people. It lets you go pretty well where you want to. They sent me over there. I landed over there in January 1966. As a replacement for an action that the 1st Cav had, but did my year there, and it wasn't too terrible bad. Went back, they gave me a choice. They said, if you'd like to, you can go to Schofield Barracks in Hawaii and be an instructor at the NCO Academy. I said, no, I want to go back to CONUS, back to continental United States. I want to go home for a while. I've been away a while. Well, they almost sent me to the United States. They assigned me to Fort Hood, Texas. Again, I did 7 months. I married while I was home on leave, married, and my wife got pregnant, and Texas and me just wasn't getting along. And they were forming light infantry group, 198th Light, which later became the 23rd Division, or was integrated into the 23rd Division. I talked to one of the company commanders. He said, would you like to have a platoon? I'm E6 by this time. I said, well, yeah, I'll go back with you if you give me a platoon. He gave me a platoon, and in September of '67, I went back to Vietnam. Didn't make it off as good the second tour as I did the first tour. We took kind of really heavy casualties, my unit did. Bad area, and lost a lot of good friends. but I had a lot of fun too. You don't think about combat as being fun, and it's not really. You know, you have many hours of boredom, and it's punctuated by moments of extreme panic. But you get some funny things. One of them, and a little hesitant to use this, but we had an incident where we was relieving our sister unit. I was in C Company, 1st Battalion, 46th, and our, I think it was our Bravo Company, had been beating their head against this hill all day long. And they called us to come over the mountain. I think we was 5-6 miles from them. And they had us beat feet to get there. We chopped through bamboo and, you know, 3-tier jungle. This is northern Vietnam, around Chu Lai. And a lot of mountains, a lot of jungle, a lot of ravines, and really nasty territory. But we made it there. And the next day, we stayed that night. We got mortared that night. And the next day, we tried to take his hill, and we didn't get very far up it. Come back. That night, they sent in law rockets and flamethrowers. We're going to take his sucker tomorrow morning. Well, that evening, me and old boy I was with the first tour I was over here was Wee Willie. We called him Wee Willie Womp Womp. Now, I can't remember. Something Williams. I think it was Willie Williams. But me and him was sitting and drinking coffee, and he said, Al, he said, you know, I'd give my left nut to get out of this fight tomorrow. I said, well, Willie, it maybe ain't going to be that bad. We got out the next morning, and they brought in the jets, and the jets prepped it, and the artillery prepped it, and the mortars prepped it, and the machine gunners is on it, and we start up the hill with flamethrowers mounted, and we get all the way to the top, and there's one shot. One shot, accidental discharge somewhere off on the other side of and it was a ricochet. And you might guess where it went. It was I would never again say I would give my left anything. But we really paid the price for that, us not having to fight. And I've always thanked him. But I did my year there. Came back, they put me with the 5th Battalion, 3rd Old Guard at Fort Campbell, Kentucky. I escorted bodies for a while from the Presidio back into the heartland, back in Tennessee and Kentucky, and got to meet some of the nicest people. You never know. You come into a family and you're bringing back your only son, and they're so good to you, just so nice to you. But I did that for a while, and then they put me with the Honor Guard, where we burial detail. And then they said, well, we think we can better utilize you as a drill sergeant. So they sent me to Fort Jackson, South Carolina again to drill sergeant school. And I finished my tour as a drill sergeant. I got out in November of 1970. One of the high points of my military career, I had a young man that I had put through boot camp, came back to me after a tour in Vietnam and said, Sergeant Moore, I think that you might have kept me alive. And I said, well, Private, if I did, I'm sure glad of it. Since Vietnam, I have seen only one of the people that I served with. He lives over in Melbourne. I didn't see him for years and years. We got together over the internet, and when we had the wall down in Kissimmee the first time, named Phil Walker, he said, I want to come see you, and I said, yeah, I'd really enjoy that. And when he shows up, now I know the face, but this boy is 6'4", something like that. And I said, Phil, I don't remember you being that big. He said, well, Sergeant Moore, I don't remember you being that little. So we was kind of together on that. But he said the only thing that he never really forgave me about was putting him on point. You know, 6'2" and 6'4" is hard to hide. Most infantrymen are not very big people. You know, we tend to run towards smaller size. But I still do a little bit in service to my veterans. I'm a member of the DAV and the Purple Heart and VFW and VVA, Vietnam Veterans of America. But I feel good around veterans. They are my kind of people. I realize that we serve our country, but we fight for each other. We don't, you know, it's, and I'm glad to have been able to serve, and it is always something that I will have a great deal of pride on. Thank you.